Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down and go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake or loyal? Rhino water, death is sign of baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every single evening. Thought you never see me again, looks can be deceiving. When they hear the sound of the drum, they'll be saying, oh Lord, here they come. Yeah, here we come.
We take play seriously. That's why ATK chooses Omen by HP and Windows 10.
Here we come.
In the country, you know, you'd be expecting that this is where he'd naturally end up eventually, and you know, so hopefully today we see why they picked him up, why they decided to, you know, go and take that player from another local team.
Yeah, we will have to see. Of course, Squishy wasn't exactly a weak link on this team, but for whatever reason they decided to go with Luke instead. On the other side, though, we've got ADG Snorlax. So why don't you run us through this roster, Blur, and then I'll run us through the ATK roster.
It's a very familiar roster, considering we're seeing a lot of the old GG roster ported onto here. We see Mito and Severin on the tanks, Severin under the name Beepo in this roster. Mm-hmm. That was going to be the kind of front line of the Goliath Gaming roster for this year, but also consistent, or they both played in the roster that won the VS Gaming League last year. Not another former GG player. He was on the bench for the new GG roster, formerly for TCP and 8-Bit Oddity as well. Note, another former 2CP player. So a lot of quality in this roster so far with what we're seeing. Yeah. Strong hit scan players, especially the two of them. But note, we've also seen play a lot of Doomfist. We've seen him play a lot of Genji. So likely going to see a bit of that today in the current meta. Aviator, a former Evo player, and actually a former ADG player back in the days of, or in ADG Eclipse, which was the former Ironic Overdogs, but also far back when they were ADG Slinky, and that was the team that then became Evo Esports. Obviously, you know, that roster's greatly changed from them. The only player remaining there is Maestro, but Aviator now back with ADG on Snorlax, and I'm going Hamza, a former Prodigy and NX player, if I'm not mistaken, and also played for the Ironic Overdogs team that's now plays a large part of what this roster is today.
Yeah, so maybe we should talk about Snorlax a little bit. Of course, if you've been keeping track of South African Overwatch, you're quite familiar with the name Snorlax, at least Snorlax Gaming. But this is not that squad, at least not in its entirety. Of course, there was some hullabaloo about Lavius leaving the team, aka Wrath, at some point, and they've since been picked up by ADG and kind of merged with that oldest clip squad that you've mentioned. And of course, in the squad, we've got 3 members of that old Snorlax team. Note coming in from 2CP, like you mentioned, and then Aviator and I'm going Hamza on the supports from the old Eclipse roster. So a bit of a mixed bag here in terms of Snorlax, and going to be looking to bring the fight to ATK. And as we speak about ATK, we should run through their roster quickly, of course. Other than the change which we've already highlighted this evening, it's mostly the same roster. It's Bandit on that main tank, Dizzy on that flex tank 20, and Sponge going to be bringing in the hit scan and projectile DPS respectively. And then we've got Luke coming in to replace Squishy on the flex support role, and Lazy, the foreign Lucio Master, going to be running the main support. So familiar roster with one change, but by no means a downgrade in any position. Now, as we spoke about last week and the week before, we do now have a set map pool, and we will be starting on Ilios here. So should be a fun map. We saw a lot of interesting stuff. We actually saw Evo take this one and then drop the rest of the series to Odyssey. So you can sometimes see funny things on Control. You think we're looking down the barrel of an ATK victory here, or do you think Snorlax is going to be able to put up a good fight?
It's very difficult for any team in the country at this stage to take on ATK. There's such a force in South African esports, and in South African Overwatch especially. Esports
A little bit laggy here, Blur. I don't know if everything is all right, but it seems like we've lost him for now. Oh. Okay. Off to a good start here with Blur once again. But we
that kind of likelihood. If any.
Oh man. Okay, this is what you come to expect from Vern and casting Overwatch, unfortunately. So we do have roster-wise quite an unusual look coming out of AGD Snorlax here, actually. Mito and Severin on their trusty ball and chain. This is something we saw them run a lot during the fundraiser for the South African Rhinos at the 3v3 tournament. They did really well with this roster. And of course, as a part of GG, something they ran quite a bit, not on the Widowmaker, not that unexpected on Ilios well. Note, can we bring out the Doomfist, something he's quite well known for. On the other side, it's Dive from 2016. It's Tracer, Genji, Winston, Diva, Luke. Can we bring in that Anna here? That makes a lot of sense for a DPS of his caliber, and Lazy going to be backing them up with the Brigitte. Maybe a bit unusual pick for the Dive, but I'm sure ATK will be able to make it work as they move in here.
Yeah, and looking at what they're going to be running here, it's very much what we've been seeing in the professional tier of Overwatch right now. Lots of focus on the Genji, especially since his big buff, his blade and his damage is so impactful right now. But it's going to be able to see if we get the high pick potential out of the Doomfist being valuable before the Genji and the Tracer are able to have effect.
Well, so far not really having the impact here, as we see Spider and Genji swinging away as Note hits the deck early. Strange team fight there, not really ever getting started, but as I say, that Bandit moves in and gets taken down. 20 though, gonna make sure ADG aren't able to pick up any significant advantages. He takes down Aviator, Dizzy with the follow-up onto Mito, gonna make it even harder for ADG to get anything out of this team fight, and they're gonna pull on back. And ATK gonna secure themselves quite a bit of percent for one team fight.
And you can see already ATK deciding to adjust based on the fact they see this Roadhog, they see this Doomfist, they're switching off the Winston onto a Wrecking Ball. Something we know Bandit very well for, but he's going to be highly disruptive to this bunker comp and really stop them really being able to set up effectively. And that just gives the Genji and the Tracer more time to be effective. And the Genji's so adept at making sure that that's out of position targets are picked off. You know, and that's, you can see from the way Snorlax is playing. They're playing so defensive, so careful together. It's really, really struggling to gain any space here.
Ooh, but they do manage to get the pick there, but not before Mito drops down. No, not rather, finds another pick onto Luke. So quite a few members down on the side of ATK. This is a good opportunity for ADG to make something happen. Sponge though, gonna equalize things, but there is a Mercy in the mix here. I'm going Hamza looking for an opportunity, but he's taken down again by Sponge before he can find that resurrection. And all of a sudden, after a good fight, ADG Snorlax back on the back foot.
A couple of good headshots there from Not but overall, just an absolute control of the fight from ATK. You can see them setting up so effectively and disrupting so effectively in that fight. And just when it looks like it might be swinging in Snorlax's favor, with like Luke going down, Lazy pops that rally, and they can't really counter that. Just so much extra HP on the side of ATK. Coming in here now, you know, you got so many ults online, including that Nano Blade, and here we're going to see it now.
Yeah, Nanoblade straight out. He knows what target he wants. He takes him down straight away. He needs to be careful that Mercy doesn't come in, but she's not really in a position to get the resurrection. Moves in now to bring the sniper back to life. Back up to a full fighting complement here for ADG Snorlax. Now on the point, they have the Bongo. They've got the Orisa ulti, and Note's going to find the pick onto Lazy. No more healing, in fact, as Luke is taken down as well. So Note coming in clutch here for ADG Snorlax, but there's still the DPS of ATK messing around on the point. The mines as well, going to make it difficult for for him to move around, but Red in the kill feed here as No picks up his third, but Dizzy gonna make sure he takes care of the enemy DPS. Can they find anything else? Can they close it out here for ATK, or will AGD Snorlax manage to bring this team fight back? Dizzy going down is a pretty good start for ADG as they do manage to flip the point and bring things back towards them.
That's a really, really well played team fight from the side of ADG. Not really seeing the effect we need out of the Sponge Nanoblade there, but really well played from ADG. Note getting 3 very big picks in that fight and really opening it up for his team. And now with the information they're getting from the Widowmaker sidelines, ATK is going to have to consider how they engage this. They're actually switching onto the Widowmaker themselves to try and counter in here. So how this battle unfolds and how Bandits and Co are able to engage here will really determine how this fight progresses.
A lot of time lost here. Patient players, they wait for the recon sites to disappear. Oh no, the move off the map! He just manages to get back up. That was a close call. As we do look at the sniper duel here, neither one getting, Note dropping low, needs to be careful in the face of 20. In fact, 20 gets that pick. Note not able to get the sniper out of position there, and now ATK can move forward a man up, and of course Note died nowhere near I'm Going Hamzo, who's currently pocking who's currently under a ton of pressure from the tanks of ATK. Now moving forward, Mines on point here, Blue Mines in fact, as Bandit takes down his opposite number. Mito not going to contribute anything else to this team fight as Note comes back in swinging. He finds one, Luke again hits the deck, but Bandit going to make sure Note can't get any more value out of the African Punch Master. Can they find anything more as Bandit picks up another here? Was ADG going to be able to bring things back to their favor? But Sponge with that blade, he's going to make sure ADG are not in a good position to do though. He finds his third pick as Beepo goes down, but Note is back and is still swinging here on point. 20 finds a pick onto Mito, so that pesky ball won't be contributing anything more just yet as the Valkyrie comes out. I think what was that? Note and Hams are just deciding it's cool, we don't need to be on the point.
And you have to say it's really good fight management from the side of ATK. You know, I talk about Sponge maybe not getting full value out of the blades right here, but you know, in the same time, it's such an impactful ult that I see 2 people go down to a blade, and it's maybe not the biggest impact we would see. But it's still so valuable to trade out your Genji for that, to see your Genji getting such good value in the fight. That, you know, compared to the other ults that you're seeing dropping, you're seeing Note's Meteor Strikes not getting much value, you're seeing not be very zoned out of the fights, and it's just good control. It's good control that they're executing here. Coming through here, we're going to see more of that. We're going to see this Wrecking Ball coming through, we're going to see Lazy be a constant thorn in the side of the players trying to pressure down like Luke, and we're going to see 20 really trying to control that space with that Ashe. It's up to not to take that fight, and it's a really difficult fight to take under any circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, you saw them try to run the Widow v Widow. We didn't really see it get to come to fruition here. Let's see if the Ashe v Ashe is more in their favor. That's a nice anti-heal there. Luke finds both tanks, and now they're under so much pressure as Dizzy, or Bandit rather, comes in from the back. Luke gonna pick up a kill here, but not gonna win the duel against the enemy Ashe. So that's a really good start for him in that matchup, but it's still ATK set up on Pointer as Mito looks a little bit exposed as he moves towards the point all by himself, now backed up by the rest of the team. So good work from ADG to get themselves set up in point, and this is quite a hard team to push into, but that Brigade are dropping super low. I'm Going Hamza needs to watch his HP as he cannot be healed thanks to Luke's anti-heal, but no, not able to get onto the point here. ATK, there we go, Dizzy taken down. Sponge finds a kill to not. That gives 20 all the space in the world, but ADG's superior positioning on point, it's going to allow him to grab it. A quick blade and Nano comes out from ATK. Sponge going to start swinging away here. He finds Aviator, he puts the damage to Mito, and he might just have secured ATK a quick rebuttal.
And that's actually fantastic ultimate usage there. Such a great ability to build up that blade so quickly, and really good tank play from the side of ATK. We talk about them going down there, but they're playing into a comp that's really, really difficult to dive into. You know, they're playing against this Roadhog, into this Orisa and the Brigitte, which are really tough targets to dive into. We're also no slouch in terms of playing against the dive and being able to avoid the damage. So you know,
committed here by the red team as they move forward. Can they do anything else? Doesn't look like it so far. Slow team fight as far as ADG are concerned, and point just ticking up here, but that punch from Note onto the Bandit gonna make it difficult for him to move around as Nod finds again the superior pick there onto 20, so now he's the one with the space to work out, and he's moving forward with his team here. ATK though still holding the point, and that's a big anti-ult onto Beepo. Bandit gets rid of I'm Going Hands, smacks him right off the map as Lazy picks up a follow-up onto Beepo. Not still wreaking havoc from the high ground, but now Sponge is fine. This man, he's going to try and take him down. The protection from the Moira to make sure he doesn't end his own life. But Mito going down and Note following suit. It's going to mean that ADG rather going to have to go back to spawn.
And it's incredibly good ultimate usage from the side of ATK there. We see them using the Barb and the minefield simply to keep ADG from actually going to point. The more they keep them in this open space, the more that the tanks that they are able to cause chaos and rain in from multiple sides and make it really difficult for them to play into. We're seeing them actually use those win conditions really nicely to just get a little bit of advantage in the early stage of the fight. And you know, the ultimates of ADG are going to have to be very effective coming forward here, especially because the only one they have in line is this bongo, which we've just seen used. I think I'm lost. Son, you're muted.
Oh, the sun is muted, dude. It's like, well done to ADG winning that team fight. Good job.
Yeah, and the big difference there was we see them getting back onto point and settling down with that bongo, really pushing back very effectively there. They have this rally online, but playing into 5 ults on the side of ATK is going to be really difficult for the side of ADG.
Oh, yeah, and that's a good start. Sponge finds one, finds another, but 20's taken down. In the meanwhile, finds a third. I'm Going Hamza's given up on life, and ADG, again, gonna flip the point back for ATK on.
And they have to get back to the point really quickly. We already see Mito switching onto the Wrecking Ball, not backing out to make sure he doesn't die before the point ticks over. Really nice play coming in from the side of ATK here to actually just take control and put them in a really difficult position to retake here.
Oh yeah, they very much are. Note getting aggressive. They had to touch. It is taken down by the whip shot. 20 can get rid of the Lucio, so no stall on point really. Mito though gets Dizzy as he pops his ulti, but Dizzy fires right back. The self-destruct getting rid of a couple, and ATK so far so good for the boys in red.
And I talked about how I expected to see Snorlax playing a very chaotic style of play. It's actually been the other way around. Although ATK, you can clearly see the structure to how they're playing, and they're playing very planned strategies, playing in very planned ways. The fact of the matter is they're introducing chaos into the roster of Snorlax. They're making them have to adjust to how they want to play, and it's the absolute anarchy that's just reigning in their backline is just making Snorlax it's so difficult for them to engage these fights, let alone actually win them. They've won 2 fights all game, and looking forward to the rest of the series where the points are a lot more kind of there's a lot more kind of space to abuse. It's not just symmetrical points. It's going to be very difficult for them to play into hard choke points and hard positions. Looking at the future maps, looking at Dorado, for example, this kind of chaotic dive style is going to be really strong in actually setting them up to win the series on the side of ATK, and Snorlax have to find a way to adjust that. Beepo needs to be able to punish the dive tanks coming in. Not and Note need to somehow adjust to the way that ATK are playing, and somehow they just need to kind of adjust and make them just struggle. They need to break up this game plan. They need to flip the script on them, and so far to this point, it's been really like all one-way traffic. When they gave up the point, even when they gave up the point, they did so in such a way that they were able to come back with so many resources. Yeah,
very much still in control then. Talk to me about this Roadhog. It's not a hero I've seen in any number of periods of time. It's been so long since this hero has been in the meta at all. Now, like I mentioned at the top of the match here, Mito and Beepo, of course, one of the better known Orisa Roadhog combo players, but it doesn't seem to be working out for them here. Do you think the Roadhog is the issue, or do you think it's more to do with the style of play and dealing with what ATK are posing specifically?
I think that the Roadhog potentially can work against what ATK is playing right now. The worry is that if it doesn't work, if he isn't able to get those picks early in the fight, he just becomes a big ult battery. And that's really the big concern, is that a Roadhog is a big ult battery. He's got 600 HP, and then he's probably going to heal himself up for another 300 at least once in the fight. So, you're looking at a potential 900, 1,200 health costing to the enemy team if you're losing these fights. And I mean, for a Genji, that's just a free blade. For a Ana, that's some free nano charge. You know, and we see 20 Sponge making good use of that. Bandit and Dizzy very much focusing on the DPS. Dizzy's been very active in shutting down Not, and Bandit's been very active in just disrupting and making the game a little bit more difficult for them. But the situation is that if they're going to play this Roadhog instead of something like a Diva, which can mitigate a lot of damage, or a Sigma, which is more traditionally run with double barrier, they need to make sure that what they're doing is disrupting the style of play that ATK is trying to play, because they're playing incredibly aggressively. They're pushing in and they're getting their Genji in the backline. They're getting their Tracer when they were running it in the backline. And later we saw the Tracer switch to a Widowmaker and then an Ashe. But you know, he needs to be punishing that Genji. He needs to be punishing the Wrecking Ball coming through. And to this point, we're not really seeing it. It can work, but it isn't. And I think that's something they really have to consider coming forward here. And coming to this map, they don't seem to be swapping it out so far.
Yeah, no, they seem to really be committing to this Roadhog Orisa combo, and like you say, I think on paper it seems like it could work, but I mean, nobody at the highest levels of play is playing Roadhog, and you've got to think there's a good reason for that. But they're committed to this, and they're going to lean on a style that they're confident on, and you can't fault them for that. On the other side, ATK running a very different composition, or at least a very different looking composition. They've got Bandit and Dizzy now on the double shield. 20 still running the Ashe, and Sponge still on it. Genji, no nano boost this time to back him up, but they have got the Brigitte and Lucky Luke on the Baptiste.
Yeah, and you're going to see them very much. They're going to be looking to control this wide open space here. Very nice space for them to just spam into. Very nice space for them to farm out with the Genji. And the Brigitte are very much going to seek to enable the Genji pressuring aggressively here, like this.
Yeah. This is exactly what you'd expect to see for this. Now, of course, as we mentioned a week or so ago, Brigitte has been nerfed significantly. No more over armor anymore, so Genji not quite the oppressive monster he was with the previous iteration of Brigitte, but still a lot to contest as they move forward now. And as they push forward, don't find anything just yet, but the cart is moving and now it has stopped. So this is where things really start to get difficult. But as Beepo gets that pick, Severin coming in clutch for his team, finds the enemy Brigitte, and now not getting aggressive, gonna get rid of Bandit. Luke does get the return at least, but is alone on the point as ATK are pushed back in a manner we don't see often.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we need to see from this Roadhog. We need to see from this Roadhog get into stranger angles, punish this composition. I originally thought when we seen the double barrier coming out from ATK, the Roadhog would struggle against the double barrier. Two barriers makes it really hard for Roadhog to really find those hooks, but you know, a little bit of lazy being out of position there really put him into a position where he was punished immediately by Beepo's Roadhog. And coming forward here, Dizzy's really gonna have to try and track this, and Lazy's gonna have to try and track his positions a little better. But immediately we see a Halter coming through onto Dizzy. Pause coming out here. But Halter coming out onto Dizzy early in the stage of that fight, and that's a position where we're really going to see them try to exploit. They're going to try and get the early pickles in this fight, because in the long fights they probably don't win.
Okay, sorry, we are back in game. There's a bit of a lobby tomfoolery there. Suddenly SP is controlling the game and has to pause. Okay, wasn't expecting that. But we are back in the action now as ADG continue to roll on forward here. See if they can find anything Mito on the Orisa here. Just gonna help his team take some space here. And they're doing a good job of that, but with 20 finding the pick onto not no to make these things a lot more difficult for AD. Committing that to assist his team, and Sponge with that pick on might have just done exactly what ATK need to stop the momentum of ADD Snorlax. Thus, with Luke going down, Snorlax might want to stick around, but Bob, he's oppressing the point here, getting up close and personal.
And it's very much something we're seeing from ATK is that they're giving up a lot of space. Yes, they wanted to engage on this bridge rather than up front there, but it's a situation where they've gotten, you know, halfway through the map, 4 minutes still on the clock. This isn't the situation you want to be in. You have to win this fight if you're ATK. If not, it starts to look a little bit scary, a little bit uncomfortable on the side of ATK. And Beepo already getting behind and getting very, very aggressive. They're gonna have to punish him in these positions.
They are, but so far not really doing a great job of it. But they have got a few kills here on the side of ATK, but it's all red in the kill feed, even though the blade was committed. Sponge moving around nicely, but not getting the picks he needs to. And that Bob from the 7th man being the #1 player for AGG Snorlax on this occasion.
disastrous first 2 points from the side of ATK right now. You know, you're not really seeing the value coming out of the Genji so much here. And you can see him already switching onto the Hanzo here. They want to really try and spam out the shield a little bit more, really emphasize the fact that they have 2 shields and ADG doesn't. But really, 5 minutes on the clock, that's a really good first 2 points. And this is what we didn't see from ADG in the first map. We saw them play very safe, very composed, but they were getting very much disrupted by ATK. On the other hand now, it seems the other way around. ATK almost playing too safe, not really risking the shots, not really risking the angles, and they really have to get these picks to excel in these fights.
Almost succeeding there. Luke's been landing really good anti-heals. No follow-up on this occasion though, and that's what we were looking for. That halt hook combination. They find Dizzy, and that's a good opening for them to start moving forward now. And the cart is moving. They haven't stopped it. Lazy gets onto point now. Bob as well as backup, but he's going to go down. And Bob is not finding the kills he needs to. 20 finally gets something for ATK, but ADG Snorlax in firm control of the team fight and the map so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, we're seeing them now have to come on stalling, playing out very aggressively, trying to just get back to points. The DPS still on the high ground, trying to spam, trying to get that ult charge, trying to get the picks, but Beepo punishing these flank, or punishing these positions, punishing these players that are trying to get value out for side of ATK. But it does look like the script is now flipping again. Notes and visions going down very late in that fight, and it's a situation where they've now just managed to gain control.
Yeah, seems like whatever happened there. You know, Beepo, I called out the hog a little bit, but he seems to be doing a much better job of this game of dealing with what he has to deal with. Now, it has to be said that he is this time not playing up against the aggressive dive tanks, so he has a little bit more space to move around, and he is playing with a lot more freedom, so it seems to be working out for them.
And they're keeping the wrecking ball here, which is a little bit surprising for me, but they must be thinking, you know, if we can slow them down, stop them from really getting into the positions to really challenge us, maybe we can just get our Ashe and our Hanzo to be a bit more effective. Rally coming through very quickly and might be incredibly dangerous here for the
Notes
backline.
and Lazy, or rather Visions, moving together there. The Rally keeping the Doomfist healthy in spite of a great sleep by Luke taking him down. Sponge has the Dragons now. We didn't mention that, but he is on the Hanzo, and Beepo, this time the flank a little bit ill-fated as he will hit the deck thanks to a headshot from Bandit, and ATK going to secure themselves some more momentum.
And at this point for ADG, it's a case of can we get value before the DPS of ATK do? And that's what the ball is really here to do. It's really here to secure the fact that they're going to want to make ADG engage a little bit slower, engage in a way they don't really want to. And Bandit's able to just survive longer on points, 20 and Sponge are able to look for damage for longer, and Lazy's able to stay alive a little bit longer, protect his Ana, and then they can look to end these fights. And that's the situation they're really going to have to adjust to in this stage, and don't really seem to be able to right now.
Yeah, that's a bad start. Dizzy finds the opening pick. Dragon Strike was committed there. Sponge picks up another kill in this team fight. Vision's gonna go down thanks to Dynamite as well. Will burn to death, and 20 will pick up another in the form of Meter. So ATK in firm control now. Started a bit slow for them, but ADG struggling to get that last little bit of progression.
And they're whittling down this time bank on the side of ADG. The ADG came in here with 5 minutes, and it's down to 1:30 now. And that's a little bit more respectable, even if they do complete the map at this point. But even if they will is a question at this point, with the Bongo about to be online, and Bob about to be online, to go with their Nano Boost, Rally, and Minefield, as well as a Hanzo Dragon Strike, which charges incredibly quickly. So, you know, they're really, like, ADG struggling to really engage and get the ults out, get the ults charged even. And it's going to be a situation that they're going to have to build up in this fight. And
I mean,
not
we spoke about Dragon Strike charging quickly, and Sponge showing off there. Managed to get that one up so quickly. Used it in the previous team fight, and he already had it in this one. He even started off the fight by taking down Not No Not. So Sponge coming in clutch there for his team. Dizzy now switching back onto the Sigma though, so back to a bit more stable.
A little bit of a faux pas there from Lazy in the late stages of that team fight, hitting his Rally out before when the side of ADG had already all dropped down. Still a couple of ults online though, and they're going to have to hold out quite hard here. And I'm actually quite surprised to see them swap with the Wrecking Ball, which is working so well for them.
Yeah. Signing on the Sigma once again, but Note got so aggressive, popped his ulti and finds Luke in the backline. Sponge going down as well. Bob not even going to be able to stick around and say hello here as ADG managing to get the kills they need to push to, but they have lost a couple of members now, and the spawn advantage does favor ATK, so on the back foot a little bit, but that pick might have secured a lot of space for ADG. But Beepo going down on the flank again. He's playing such a hyper-aggressive style, a flanky style, and you know, Feast or Famine works, it doesn't work, but Sponge, Nano boosted up here. He's going to show Note exactly how you play Doomfist, the South African style, as he secures ATK a full or a 3rd point defense here.
And that's actually a really good adjustment from the side of ATK. Again, I was surprised to see the Wrecking Ball swap off again, because it was getting so much value for them. And you could see in the early stages of that fight, Beepo getting a lot more aggressive because he didn't have that same disruption, like making his life a little bit more, making his life difficult and getting into those aggressive angles. But they're able to hold out there. They're able to use their superior ult economy there. And once the Doomfist came out to stall for the side of ATK, the Nano Boost onto him, Nano Doomfist is just disgusting. It's just so much damage so quickly, and they were able to just clean that up. 5 minutes, whittled off the clock there for ATK, and well played for them to get to that point. But 2 points, 2.5 points, still a pretty good push as far as ADG are concerned. It's just very defensible, you would consider. And if they're able to really punish ATK's positioning in the early stage of this game, they're sticking to this Roadhog again. If they're able to punish, use the Immortality Field with the Baptiste they're playing, use the Torbjorn to really punish Sponge if he chooses to play the Genji again, it could be a situation where we see them start to get a little bit stressed going into the latter stage of this game.
Ooh, we do have another pause here. Vision's asking for that, but we were kind of worried, Blur. I'm being worried is overstating it. We were kind of concerned that this is going to be a bit of a speed run here. ATK will just kind of barrel through him, even though ADG are the second best team in the country by all accounts. But it seems like ADG managed to put up a fight here with some creative plays. People on this Roadhog has been doing a lot of weird stuff, and ATK, I think, not used to dealing with a flanking Roadhog, at least not in 2020. So ADG working with a bit of momentum here, even if they weren't able to close things out.
Yeah, and I think what you're seeing from ADG is a little bit of game understanding. ATK very very much running a strong version of the meta composition we've been seeing a lot of in Overwatch League in the past couple of weeks. Obviously not so much now considering the hero bans, but they're running this very strong composition that we've seen exploit the strengths of Genji, exploit the strengths of Brigitte, exploit the strengths of Orisa and Sigma, and they're running it very well. But ADG thinking, what, we can disrupt this a little bit. We can get our Doomfist into the backline, get some high pick potential, and really punish them. We can get our Roadhog onto flanks and really get picks early in the fight, and it's good game understanding from some very high tier players. This is a lot of the roster we expected to be seeing playing at in what was the championship team in the country last year, coming forward into this year. It's like they're very strong players, and we know they're able to play on the level of ATK. So they might have a little bit more less rehearsal, a little bit less structure online, but they do still have that raw skill. And that is something that they're delivering very, very nicely on in the first stage of Dorado in this map. Whether they can keep this performance up, maintain consistency, even if ATK or if ATK are playing the strongly structured game style, which you see them, they're already taking this big rotation to deny the high ground. If they can maintain it, maybe they start to pull a bit of an upset here.
We'll have to wait and see. I think still a long way to go before we start talking about upsets, but ATK, as you say, have gone for a long flank here. Yeah, Sponge moving back to point here, deciding while we're messing around, I might as well get some progress on the point as ADJ just kind of relocate themselves here to defend in a more standard position. We haven't mentioned it yet, but Not is on the Torbjorn here, so he's going to be looking to set up a crossfire. That means Note is going to have to try and deal with the enemy Ash 20 and have a difficult time as I say that. So he finds a quick double, no more DPS anywhere to be found on the red team, takes down the only other person who could be considered a DPS on that team at the moment, and ATK making quick work of ADG on that first point.
And still with a couple of staggers in the late stage of this fight, there's still a Moira behind them, and there's still the Orisa of Mito now going down, and that's just such composed play from the side of ATK there. They knew what they wanted to do, they denied the space that they wanted to deny, and then they just collapsed and absolutely dismantled ADG in the later stages of that fight. The Genji there really, really struggling to get into the fight, considering the Torbjorn position there, but that's when you lean on 20. You lean on the experience of a really high impact player who we've seen so much value come out of in the last few years of Overwatch, so much value on the side of Energy Esports, on the side of the Overwatch World Cup team last year. He comes in there, gets a couple of picks, and really, really delivers in a way that's, you expect from very few players in this country. And that's like really what you're looking at from ATK. They have so many high impact players. We talk about the likes of Sponge getting big nanoblades. We talk about we talk about like Luke doing so much work with the anti-nade and the Baptiste windows in these fights, and we see a lot of work out of Bandit and Dizzy on the Ilios map, and a lot of work out of Lazy in the Ilios map. And you just see every single one of these players has something that they can catch an enemy team out. They can really punish an enemy team when they try to hard counter a certain playstyle, and that's what we saw there. The Torbjorn very effective in making Sponge less effective, but while you're committing resources to making Sponge less effective, 20 comes out of nowhere, and once 20 is disabled in the fight, it's just they get such a stacked deck of cards there, and it's just they're so well set up to take on any situation in these games.
Mm-hmm. So we do have Visions here, just with the disconnect. Of course, he did call for a pause a little bit earlier. Thought he had it sorted out, but it seems like that is not the case, unfortunately. So we are just waiting for him to get back here. Ultimates-wise, we are working with a little bit here for both teams. Like Luke, close to that Nano Blade. Sponge closing in on his Blade as well. 20 does have the Bob, so ATK looking pretty good. And of course, Vision's disconnection means whatever ultimate charge he had built up is now null and void. And the other thing they have to work with here is Aviator's Coalescence. So it's going to be a difficult team fight coming forward here for ADG. We might see a bit of a reverse of fortunes, in fact, mirrored completely, as ATK get a quick push to both first points here, and then it's up to ADG to see whether they can replicate the defense, the third point defense that ATK put up.
The big stress here for ADG really has to be that Nano Blade, though. The Bob they can probably kite out and counter. I mean, even Severin or Beepo can use it to generate a little bit more of his ult, take a little bit of that damage, not give 20 any ult charge, and then be in a position where he can just generate a little bit of that whole hog, put a little bit of disruption on his side. But the Nano Blade, they don't have a defensive ult. They haven't been playing with a defensive ult all game. They've been playing with a Baptiste and a Moira, and the Baptiste immortality field maybe saves you for 2 swings, but once that immortality field is down, and as soon as the blade comes out, they're going to be looking to dismantle that immortality field immediately. Once that goes down, it's going to be really, really difficult for the side of ADG to really sustain themselves in that fight. And all the while, they'll be getting this progress on card, which is going to be so vital in deciding the late stages of this game. If they get to third point with a big time bank, you really, really rate them to, even if they need to swap their entire comp, really rate them to actually push that last bit of space.
Yeah, they got time to kind of figure out what they need to do and execute on it. They don't have to push all the way. Now, we did see a lot of late deaths here for ADG, so that's even worse for them. People moving forward aggressively here. I think he wants to get himself in a nice flank position, but he spots a few members of ATK, and he might end up going down early. Yeah, 20 finds the first pick here onto Not. So that's a good start for the boys in blue on this occasion. And again, not a full 6 here for ADG, even at the best of times in this team fight. And now struggling even more. Can they stall the point out here, or will ATK just barrel through them on this occasion? They commit the coalescence here. They're going to try and make sure they don't lose any more members. But Note going aggressive needs to be careful. He does have the ulti, I believe. No, he doesn't. Nowhere near it, in fact. So he can't get so aggressive. I like this ball positioning on the high ground here from 20, but it's pooped back, and now not finding anything. Quick position from ADG. Oh, the Hulk combo with the nano boost, making quick work of the ADG squad as ATK unstoppable on second point.
What was that we were saying about speedrunning earlier, son? ATK coming through with a gigantic time bank on this third point here, and with this last little bit of push coming through, the rally now online, the what's the word for this whole, the gravitic flux online, the bongo online, you really expect them to be able to take this last bit of space here, especially with almost nothing online except the bongo for the side of ADG Snorlax right now.
Yeah, not a lot to work with here for the Snorlax boys, unfortunately, but they do have a little bit before the Nano Blade is up, at least. So if they can weather the storm, they've got some time, but not getting too aggressive there, and 20 getting rid of him in a quick order as they move forward now. ATK unstoppable once again. You're right, I cursed them. I spoke about being speedrun, and ATK made it so as they secure themselves a map victory on the rod.
And that's maybe what we're seeing a little bit of a difference stylistically here. On the defense, they're going to be able to really take advantage of ATK maybe being in a little bit of sloppy positions when they have to rotate, or maybe being in a position where they don't really want to be. But on the attack, it's just a situation where it's going to be so difficult for ADG to really make or stop the momentum coming through from the side of ATK once they catch it. Once they catch that momentum, they're just going to keep it rolling until the payload ends.
Yeah. So that is a 2-0 lead for ATK. Not unexpected, it has to be said, but we will be jumping in on a short break here, give the team some time to regenerate. Hopefully, ADG can find their rhythm as we head into the third map. But don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
to shore up their structure, play a little bit more careful, play a little bit smarter, you'd have to say, and make sure they don't get staggered so badly when they lose points.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of discipline missing there, but something not entirely unexpected for a team as fresh as this one. Obviously, these players have all been around the block for quite a bit, but coming from two different backgrounds, we have to remind ourselves, ADG Eclipse, a team that worked very hard and were working their way slowly, adding some new members. Of course, we remember Z-Lord from Ironic Overdogs before, and kind of just steadily working their way upwards from kind of the midfield, whereas Snorlax coming straight from the top without really even trying, it has to be said, and that's not a criticism. It's just kind of the approach they were having. They were having some fun, just playing in the league and having a good time, and now being a little bit more serious, I think, here, coming into the ADG org.
Yeah, I think they're really looking to shore up. Ali B, the representative from the ADG org, obviously very serious about it, getting his org off the ground, making sure they have high performing teams in multiple games, and picking up a bunch of players of this strength, obviously very important to him, to making sure that they're able to really get that started. And when we saw Snorlax Gaming originally, it was a bunch of players playing for for teams in the EU region that were just coming to play in the ZA region because it's the country of their home country. It's where they've gotten their experience, and now possibly setting into a stronger kind of like rhythm of let's practice, let's get a bit better, let's be the second best team in the country and try and challenge ATK for that top spot. And you have to say in terms of pure strength of players, you would say that they should be able to. But it's just that we come back to the resources that ATK has at their disposal. It's just absolutely overwhelming in the Overwatch scene and in general.
Yeah, and they haven't made many changes to their squad since the beginning of the year. And I mean, we know the story. They've scrimmed 6 days a week, or at least they were fairly recently. This is a team that's been working very hard for very long, and you'd kind of expect them to be able to put away with a team that's kind of come together from two disparate elements. So, ADG, always we're going to have an uphill battle, and I think they've performed admirably so far. Like I mentioned at the beginning of ATK's attack on Dorado, they are going to struggle. We worried that we're going to get speedrun by ATK, but like I mentioned, showing signs of life and doing what I think we don't see enough teams in South Africa do, getting really creative.
Yeah, I mean that's really what we're gonna have to see is that it's a quality thing. It's we're seeing quality players playing quality strategies versus quality players playing attempts to counter that. Maybe leaning into comfort picks a little bit, maybe leaning into the strength of that a little bit. It looks like we're in the lobby at the moment. We're currently just having a technical issue right now. It seems we've been placed in the Middle Eastern server, so we're just waiting for host to possibly reset the lobby.
Yeah, I'll go back to lobby and then restart.
Yeah, apparently Dizzy has an issue whereby he doesn't connect to the Middle Eastern servers. So yeah, it does in our country where the ping is already quite high, playing to EU, which is about 180 or 162, about 220 ping depending on where you are in the country. Playing on the Middle Eastern servers adds another 60 or so to that, which makes it really difficult to really maintain high quality gameplay. Coming into this, can't exactly see the ping on my screen, but I'm hoping that it will be better.
It's fine. Yeah, it seems normal again.
It seems normal.
It seems normal. I haven't really played on this network much, so I don't actually check my ping that often. Anyways, we are now back in the mix here on Hanamura. As you said, I think I agree. ADG just shore up their defenses just a little bit on the attack. They have changed up their lineup a little bit here, which is something we didn't mention. We do see Visions coming in on the main tag now, moving up from that flex support role. I'm going Hamza back in the roster here on the support, and note taken out, so no more big Doomfist players from him. We are going to see Mito slotting into that DPS role, a role he is a champion on, so no slouch in that regard. But again, kind of points to Snorlax not really being that settled on their roster.
Yeah, and I think hopefully we see Mito start to deliver in that position a little bit, start to challenge the likes of ATK. Note was having a very big impact, though. It has to be noted. Yeah. Noted. But on the side of ATK, everything's still the same. They've got the Ashe here. They've got a Torbjorn here, possibly trying to challenge any flankers that that's the side of ADG might bring out. Maybe expecting that Doomfist again, but you know the Doomfist's been subbed out, mate.
Yeah.
Here we go into this match here.
Yeah, so I mean, they don't really have to do anything fancy here, do they? ATK, I don't think ATK even knows who's playing in this game. They just show it up to beat everybody. We've interviewed Sponge a few times. He's like, it doesn't matter, right? We play the way we're gonna play, and we do it well. And I think it shows 20. Ooh, taking a bit of damage here. That Coalescence ball, or sorry, that Moira ball, putting him under a little bit of pressure. There is a ball in the back as well, so he needs to be careful. Balls all over the place. 20 can't escape them at the moment. Oh, but he can get rid of Mito as he tries to move his way through. Luke did drop there as ADG managed to sneak their way to the right hand side, but Sponge gonna get rid of Visions, and ADG gonna have to go back to spawn and try again.
And we didn't talk a lot about ADG's composition, but this is known as a composition that loses me my comp games. It's Orisa, Roadhog, Ashe, Torbjorn, Moira, and Mercy. So lots of different things going on here, and I think this is the type of composition we were more expecting to see out of ADG. One's going to be highly disruptive, make space for Beepo to get into those positions to look for the picks, you know, punish anything trying to come into the backline and punish the supports that are left behind, and trying to take those duels when you look at Not and his strength in the snipe at the characters in this game.
Blur, what am I watching here? I just watched Mito run down the choke and then die, and now I'm watching Visions swing around in the background. Luke's on his own mission here, dueling with Severin on the backline, but it's 2v1, and this is not beneficial for Snorlax.
No, I wouldn't say that this is the position that Snorlax would want to be in at all. They're not really imposing much structure onto this game right now, and they're really struggling to get into these fights. You know, when we're saying that we're expecting to see these disruptive comps, we're maybe saying on control maps or on more dynamic maps and payloads, but in this situation they're just getting punished by the side of ATK, who are really imposing such a strong chokehold on this map.
Valkyrie committed here from I'm Going Hamzo, as they did manage to get the pick here onto someone, but they're so horribly disjointed on the side of ADG Snorlax. Visions does find the pick onto Sponge here. He's gonna go down, I'm sure, in a matter of moments. Oh, he doesn't. He's so low though. He commits the mines onto point, and now there's a rally though, so no real damage coming out of there. Is Mito gonna hit the deck as well? Visions back in the mix here, but such low HP. Adaptive shields gonna bring him up to a fighting state, but 20 gonna get rid of them. This is like your comp games, well, in flat.
In Plat, wow, I am actually insulted.
Sorry, my comp games in Plat.
Despite that, however, it has just been such chaos here. It doesn't look like they have much of a plan going in, and 20 especially just being able to do so much damage from this high ground position, which they're not challenging him off of. You know, and we see Mito go down again, coming across through the choke. It's just a situation, there's no structure here. How are they going to get value from these ultimates if they're not able to even set up the fights here? Sponge, 20 getting picked early in this fight and really asserting themselves so early on. In this game, you're really expecting a little bit more from ADG. You're expecting a little bit more from players of these caliber that really should be able to just execute their compositions, execute their strategies a little bit better.
Yes. Sorry, I'm lost for words a little bit here, you know? One of those games where you look and you go, I don't know. I don't envy your position having to analyze this, but there hasn't been a team fight in 4 minutes, and it's very difficult to understand what the logic is behind AGG's approach here. Beepo does get the pick onto Lazy, but he's like all by himself on the flank. Vision's now coming in. Bob gonna reinforce on the front line, so maybe I spoke too soon as Beepo gets rid of Sponge here. 20 struggling a little bit on the point, but he gets rid of Meepo Bandit. Finally, that pesky Roadhog taken off the map as he picks up another here in the form of the other tank as Hamzo gonna bring Mito back up to fighting shape here. So there is something in it for ADG Snorlax. They finally, at the death, just like a comp game, got there. Oh, Mito! With the hammer kill onto Luke! Oh, that's not what you want to see if you're an ATK fan, but unfortunately, ADG struggling to get the final picks that they need to secure themselves the points. Sponge back in on the Doomfist here, gets rid of Mito's. Sorry, is there anything left for ADG? Beepo's back as well though, so he's gonna make sure Sponge doesn't get any more value out of the hero on this point, but there's so much chaos on the point. and it's favoring ATK. You'd have to expect respawns coming in for both teams, of course, favoring ADG in this case. So maybe there is something here. There is a loose, soldier back in the mix here. Not really sure about that one as Lazy goes down. 2 quick picks here might be exactly what ADG need to secure themselves the first point capture here. I blame them for their lackadaisical composition and discipline, but it seems like they're going to get the job done in the end. As I say that, though, 20 going to get rid of Visions, but I think it's too little too late for the ATK DPS player. Yeah, he's just going to back out here. Vision's going to be brought back to life by the resurrection from I'm Going Hamzo, and ADG are going to secure the first point finally.
I don't know if my brain is big enough to analyze what happened in that fight. I honestly, it was just a blur of absolute nonsense going through that. Visions absolutely disrupting that backline, Beepo getting the picks, and I think it's maybe just a case of ATK getting a little bit complacent, letting go of their chokehold in this game.
How could you not?
But it's just a position where maybe if they just maintain their heads a little bit, maintain their composure a little bit better, they would have been able to take that fight a little bit easier. But now coming into this fight, they're all over the place. Snorlax able to absolutely just assert themselves in the way they haven't really been so far in this game. Already getting a tick on the second point and picking off ATK, who are a complete shambles right now, it has to be said. They're just not setting up, not getting the engagement that they would want to be getting.
Yes, that is true. Shambles is a good way to put it. I think ATK kind of playing down to Snorlax's level, at least their level on Hanamura so far, but they do manage to clean things out. The superior mechanics, I think, are carrying them through on that occasion. But messy game from both teams here.
I mean, that's as much as we can describe it as. I think looking forward in this match here, they maybe just have to regain their heads a little bit, just get back on the level that they were playing at in the first 4 minutes of this game, and really start to punish Snorlax for playing a little bit loose. In that fight, they have the respawn advantage now, so it's gonna be difficult for Snorlax to really impose themselves on the second point. But you'd really think that if they're really gonna be putting themselves in a situation to win this game, they just have to be a little bit more conservative with the way they commit to these fights, because on the side of AG, it is very much a composition that punishes players being out of position. This Wrecking Ball and this Roadhog very much looking to do that, and the healing composition really looking forward to chasing onto anything that might give their team an advantage in these fights.
I don't know, Blue.
I'm doing my best, okay? I'm doing my best.
I know what this one, though. ADG moving forward, Visions getting a bit aggressive there and gets taken down. Mito was in the kind of vague area code of him, but he doesn't end up assisting his main tank at least enough to keep him alive, as 20 kind of just rains death from above here, and ADG once again not really approaching anything close to any sort of cohesion.
And I think we're seeing ATK settle down a little bit, be a little bit stronger in this fight. But here we are, ADG taking on to the point here, and maybe they're able to get another tick here. Or more.
Maybe. They did get the first tick, which is something I wasn't paying attention to. But 20, with that pick onto Beeper, is going to force them back. 16 seconds left on the clock now. ADG going to struggle to get through. Bandit decides he wants to get a close-up of the textures on his bongo, because there's no real reason to throw it down otherwise. Yeah? Okay, well, Vision's coming in here, going through quickly, wants to see the inside of the 8K spawn, but he doesn't get to get a look as Sponge comes in with his ultimate. There was 88's ultimate committed there as well, so the Sound Bearer going to keep the team healthy. They might get another pick here as Bandit is all by his lonesome on the point. Vision's now on the point. Is he going to get the tick? No, he isn't. He gets taken down. It's just the Mercy left on point, and it's ADG not able to secure themselves the second point capture.
And I don't know what to make of that half. It's a situation where ADG don't look like they're asserting any type of control over this map. The fights that they did win, the fights that they did look like they were asserting some chokehold in, it looked like they were just capitalizing on ATK being a little bit sloppy with their positioning, being a little bit out of maybe a little bit unfocused, playing against something that they're not really expecting to really challenge them, and just being able to capitalize with ultimates and capitalize with positions and capitalize in just ways that they were able to earlier in the game. Because fundamentally they have no way to set up. This Torbjorn has no way to get into the fight. The Wrecking Ball Hog really going to struggle to mitigate damage that they're going to be taking and giving ultimates to the side of ATK. And the Mercy Lucio, although it might get you into the fight quickly, it's not going to give you a lot of sustain once you get there. Here we're going to have a very similar comp again. The Ashe and the Torbjorn coming out again for the side of ADG, and the Mercy and the Moira coming out here. So two very self-sustainable healers, very evasive in the way they set up, and two very disruptive tanks. But if they can get in, if they can assert some structure on this fight, especially coming out with what looks like a classic combo dive, Sombra and probably a Genji we're going to see coming out of Sponge here, as well as the Wrecking Ball and the Diva, which we've seen be so effective for them on the Ilios map. They're going to absolutely punish the way this Wrecking Ball Hog really wants to set up, especially if they're able to get a hack or an anti onto Beepo and really start to punish him for even playing this hero.
I think if you want to know how to speedrun Overwatch, you should pay attention here, because ATK, this is a squad or roster, the composition rather, they run all the freaking time, and they're gonna. I think we might see them dismantle what AGG are doing here. I think Sponge actually backed out there. I'm not quite sure why he did that. And yeah, ATK, Caster's Curse once again. This is not the speedrun I was expecting to see as ADG Snorlax holding
That said,
firm
what they
here on
have been
first
able to
point.
do
This
now
is
is
for
they
the
have been
time
able to get 20 in a position to start farming up that EMP. And at the end of the day, with this composition that they're running, the important attribute of this composition isn't so much the picks you get in the early stages of the fight, it's what happens once those ultimates start to tick online. And Sponge already 66% to that ultimate. That's something to be very, very valuable. The Brigitte ultimate and the Wrecking Ball ultimate, not so valuable, but the EMP bomb and the Nano Blade going to be the real talking points of what we look at as this composition starts to look for value. But Beepo starting to look for a little bit of disruption, knows that there's not a lot of shielding on the side of this team, knows he can peek the choke, look for a pick, and all of that. Just another 10 seconds of the clock, another 10 seconds. Looking for a little bit of ults grinding, looking for a little bit of just getting that percentage on the board and making sure that he's able to set up his team to get a little bit of value when their ultimates are online.
Looking to get aggressive now on the high ground. ATK getting on top of Visions here. They won't be able to find what I think they were looking for. 20 goes down, not really closing in quickly enough to that ultimate. 2 minutes, almost 2.5 minutes on the clock. You're kind of hoping to have an EMP fight ready to go here. A Sponge goes down. He does have the blade, and Luke closing in on the Nano here. So I think ADG might be working on borrowed time, but so far looking pretty solid. Looking like they're holding the first point here.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty well played from the side of ADG here. We talk about the comp that ATK are playing, that they're confident on it, that it plays a lot around combos, but they're already switching onto the double barrier and just leaning on the Nano Blade here, expecting that that's probably going to have to be their win condition for this fight, because they don't see that they're really finding value against this Wrecking Ball Hog. It is very well noted that this composition that they were playing is strongest against bunker. It was a bunker busting comp back when it was first enacted, but now it's more of a it's going to be that combination. And ADG not playing a bunker. They're not playing anything slightly resembling a bunker, other than the Roadhog, and that's something that are really struggling to get that value out of, especially with the Diva, especially with the dive coming in.
That EMP only found Mito, not quite what you're looking for out of a very impactful ultimate. Molten Core on point now, that finds something. Aviator going down, the Nano Blade finds a second here. A Sponge cleaning up and taking down the members of ADG one by one. I'm going Gamzo gonna bring Mito back to life so he can get a good sense of how it feels to die again, because he's not gonna last long. And Vision's hacked up now. Sombra, although the hack didn't come off there, the EMP didn't come off the hack, gonna get the job done.
Yeah, and I think, that's eventually what you're expecting. You're eventually expecting they're going to pile up so many ultimates that they're just going to win. They actually switched up the tank roster there, play a little bit more of a consistent, balanced gameplay. 20 though, already 68%, 76 now to his next EMP, 84. I just can't track these numbers, they're going up too quickly. And it's just a situation that
they're going up very consistently all of a sudden.
But it's a situation where this EMP is going to be incredibly impactful, especially for shutting down this Wrecking Ball, shutting down this Roadhog, and that's really what they're going to be looking at. No, they're not. They're switching to the Ashe. They are done with this. They are switching on to something they know how to play a little bit stronger, a little bit better, and they're going to be trying to just secure this in a more consistent, more balanced way in terms of just capturing out the last few ticks of the second point.
Visions is back on the ball here, though. He did switch momentarily onto something else, but he's decided this disruptive play is going to work better for them. On the one hand, I kind of get it. I don't think you're going to beat ATK if you try and play their game. So kind of trying your best to bring them down to your level and confuse them is probably a good strategy when it comes to beating a team of this caliber. As ATK now getting themselves set up on high ground, and you see Beepo, he's finding picks consistently. Visions though not doing the same as he goes down, courtesy of some of the hyperspheres from Dizzy, but not getting a pick on the 20. I think they might have done enough ADG here to secure themselves another bit of a time ticking off the point here. As ATK without any DPS, not even able to push in further.
And they're just trying to stabilize on this high ground, but I'm not really sure that's the play either, especially with Beepo coming in and doing so much damage, building up that whole hog, which is going to really disrupt them if he actually manages to get them off. Especially if it's coordinated with Vision slamming or Vision's going in aggressively. And looking in here, ult's coming out to really just stop them taking any advantage on this point.
Oh, Bandit going down there, Bob executing him with impunity. The Sponge comes back to the fight. Sponge is an ultimate, but he doesn't need it. Scratch that, he pops it now just to clean up the point. Beepo and Visions, the only ones left for ADG, Snorlax, and ATK. Gonna make quick work of the Snorlax squad on this occasion. As I say that, there's a Valkyrie back in the mix now, but I'm going Hanzo, not long for this world. He gets taken down as Mito works his way onto the point. Is Visions able to touch, just barely pushed back, taking so much damage, taken down eventually, but Beepo is back, and he's got a whole hog, pushing the ATK members back, trying to buy the time for the rest of ADG to come back into the game, but unfortunately Aviator going down is going to secure it. ATK with a 3-0 victory.
It's just such a weird comp to watch go in action, and I think ATK knew that, again, you just secure it by just stacking up your ults, taking good control of the map, and then just executing when the opportunity presents itself, because eventually the opportunity has to present itself. It's such a chaotic composition that eventually it just falls trapped to its own devices. You know, they're not able to really assert the map control that they really would need to secure that second point for a long period of time. And although the individual skill of those players will do them well against most of Elite Division, it's not going to do them well against what's effectively the best team in the country right now, by what we would expect to be quite a distance. You know, ATK is such a strong unit, such a strong team in general. And now they're in a position where, you know, you're looking at an uncontested run. 2CP not looking like the same proposition they were a few weeks ago. ADG, Snorlax really looking like the second best team in the country, and they've just been swept away by what's a very superior looking roster.
Yeah, they didn't look like the second best team in the country in this game, that's for sure, at least on Hanamura. I thought they put up a really good fight, and I like the creativity they brought on the previous two maps, but Hanamura was a bit of a clown fiesta, so that's not really too much into that map. As ATK, as you say, securing a 3-0 victory here and really stamping their authority on the South African Overwatch scene once again. Now, Blur, you got a hard job here. I don't think anybody stood out on either of these teams. I think. Tell me who you thought was the player of the match, or at least tell me who you'd like to interview.
I think probably the player that would be best to interview, and I think a player who really was a standout player today must be Luke. You know, coming into a new roster, coming into a new position, very much a strong player to see in this context, and very much a strong player when we see the players he was going up against. You know, he was going up against some of the major players from last year's Overwatch scene, and this year he's really starting to impose himself in one of the best teams in the country, playing very strong Overwatch in that situation. Played a very good Baptiste, played a very good Anna, and really put himself in a position that, or put his team in a position that they always felt that they had his backing when they went into a fight. They always felt that they would be that ultimate online when they were needed to go into play. They always felt that they would be, you know, the immortality when the ultimate started flying. And I think that's really, again, he just provided that security against a team that you're expecting to be very chaotic and really try and challenge your security.
So we're going to get to talk to Luke here. ATK Luke, for those of you who haven't been paying attention recently, no longer with the 2CP squad, and we'll pick his brain a little bit about that. So let's hop down and talk to the man himself when he gets here. But yeah, I don't know who. There we go. All right. So, Blur, who do you think, if not ADG and 2CP, who do you think the team to put the best fight up against ATK is going to be going forward?
It's a little bit unfortunate that we didn't actually get to mention or to view the OG Kintsugi game against them, but as far as I'm aware, that was another 3-0 victory for ATK.
Yes.
And I think that's very much going to be the story of the match, or of the series here, is that they're really going to struggle to really find any challenge in the South African scene right now. 2CP undergoing a massive transformation in terms of their roster, in terms of the roster that's playing every week, and also trying to just settle into a new structure there. ADG a little bit chaotic on the day, a little bit messy in terms of how they're trying to set up, and really ATK looking by far and away the strongest team. We're looking for a strong performance from the likes of Kintsugi or Evo to just maybe like just capture a couple of points, maybe snipe a map, but you don't expect to win out of anyone in this division, I would say.
No, unfortunately not. And speaking of ATK, we are joined by Like a Luke. Welcome and congratulations.
Hello, Yella.
Hello.
Hello, Luke.
Hello.
So,
Well, congratulations, Luke.
Yeah, let's talk about the elephant in the room. ATK, Like a Luke, what's the story there, and what's it been like kind of integrating into a new roster?
Well,
As much as you're willing to share. You don't have to any spice if you don't want to.
it was quite easy to like transition from XVG to ATK. Obviously, I had a lot of stuff that I had to learn from them, like how they play, why they play like that, blah 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 blah. And then but like it didn't take too long for me to adjust to the team. It was just small tweaks, and then we were good. The coaches we have are really good as well, or the one that we had was pretty good, and he also helped out with a lot of like small things and twinking, and yeah, well, it wasn't too hard to adjust. It's quite
Awesome.
swaps klar.
Yeah, one of the big surprises I think for the community in general has been seeing you switch from a flex DPS role to a flex support role. I mean, anyone that's seen you play and seen your Twitter and your social media has known that you're quite a strong flex player in general. But what was kind of motivator to give up the flex DPS role for the flex support? Was it more just that's what ATK were looking for at the time?
Well, if you want my honest truth, it was for the Munzos. The Munzos. No, I am kind of sad that I had to give up the DPS role because obviously it is one of the roles that I do play the most. But also at the same time, I don't mind playing like flex support. It's also a role I'm pretty comfortable with playing, and yeah.
Man, what a great answer! What an actual great answer.
Well, I mean.
Okay, well, I mean, I absolutely cannot argue with that. So, moving forward, you've now dispatched most of the top teams in the elite division. Is there anyone you're looking at actually maybe potentially taking a map with you guys, or maps? Who have you played against recently that you felt really posed the highest threat to ATK?
So obviously everyone has a chance of beating ATK if they put in enough practice. However, for me personally, the team that I am the most afraid of, and probably if not first, second best right now, is the Kintsugi team, the Omnius Gaming team. Okay. Their dive is really, really good, and if they just fine tweak a few things, I definitely think it's going to be a big matchup for us and Puzzle.
You played them like yesterday though, hey?
Oh, was it this week? I can't remember. Yeah, like we played so many matches in these past few days. It's crazy. But it was recent, yeah.
Okay. Well, let's take a moment and talk about today's game, because I mean, ADG Snorlax did a few things you wouldn't expect to see out of most other teams.
True, but come on, they're a meme team. If you're going hogball torture, you're memeing. Like, you're not actually trying. I'm sorry.
So
I agree. Okay.
I mean, I think that kind of answers my question, but how did you guys adjust to when they started to bring it out on Hanamura? I think especially the end of the first point and the first fight on second point, you guys looked a little bit shaken, but for the rest of the game, you looked very, very much in control. So how did you kind of adjust to switching off them, playing almost normal comps, a little bit of Orisa Hog, which is a bit unorthodox, and then switching onto something that's, completely out of the blue, a Hog and a Ball, and an Ash and a Torbjorn, and just all over the place? How did you kind of adjust to that to keep your performance up?
One by one.
One thing I would say that helped out a lot is the sleeps and the nades. It counters a Hog so easily. It pushes him away. And obviously Lazy is a insane break player. Like, he peels so well in any situation. He's always there for me to protect me, which is super nice as well. And I remember also in Hanamura, we had this little 2v2 with Hog and Mura in the backline in our Mega. And me and Lazy fighting it out, saying we're going to take this fight on our own. That was amazing.
Yeah, we did see that. That was horrible. That was terrible.
No, but that just shows how that, like, the vibe in that last match is like both teams were kind of memeing. I mean, if they're Moira and Hog is in our backline, and the two supports are just sitting there fighting them out. We were having fun at that point. No, but
Go for it.
The first few, like when their attack, our defense, we would, like I said, we were still kind of just memeing around. But after the attack, and we were still memeing, and almost like only 2 minutes left for our first point attack still, we actually decided, okay, let's actually try now, because we were kind of throwing.
It definitely looked like you guys were like, okay, let's just win the team fight, win the match, and then we can have fun afterwards.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well played again, Luke, and congratulations to you and the rest of your ATK squad. Before we sign off, of course, we have to know, Luke, where can we keep up with you on the internet?
I stream sometimes. Wink, wink. At twitch.tv/LikeTheLuke, and my Twitter is at @like_a_Luke, or is it dash or minus? I don't even know. It's something in that line. You'll find me.
Just Google Like a Luke, and hopefully there's not too many of those online.
Yeah.
My laggy old analysis friend here, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at blur_RSA. If I can connect to it. Smile.
Yeah, fingers crossed you get some kind of vaguely stable connection going on. Of course, we can't forget about our losing team today, ADG Snorlax, to put up a great fight on the first two maps and then kind of played the game on the third map. And that's twitter.com/esports_ADG if you want to follow them there. My name has been Sun Phoenix at Sun Phoenix on Twitter, SUNPHEONYX. And we've had Defect handling our production. So if it was a bit scuffed, you know why. Not Peach on today, but I think Defect did a lovely job as usual. And of course, last but not least, we have to say thanks to the winning team, ATK, and also the sponsors of this tournament, or at least the organizers, ATK_zone on Twitch, as you know, and of course, ATK Arena on Twitter. So follow them there for all of their for all ATK related things. They have an Overwatch team. They do a lot of sim racing stuff. So a lot of esports related content to be found on their social medias. Yeah, I think that's about it. Next week, we've got a few interesting matchups. We've got Risen and Leiden taking each other on. Leiden looks to be the top team in the Challenger division, and Risen, one of the newest challengers to that division. So it should be a fun match. And on Sunday, we're going to see Evo once more, see them take on the newest iteration of Luke's old team, 2CP, and see how they stack up against each other. So tune in next week, guys. Should be a lot of fun. We'll see you then.